Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, September 13th. So the moon is going to be in Sag all day, and we're actually building towards our first quarter moon in Sag. That will take place around supper time, early evening, depending on where it is that you're at in the world. So we do have a little bit of life lessons to learn. We have a little bit of energy to intensify before the moon actually squares the sun, creating our first quarter moon. Of course, this is a huge aha moment, a huge awareness in our journey, in our path, where we will likely feel the pressure build to a breakdown point in order for a new breakthrough and a new truth to actually emerge. So today there are 11 different aspects taking place in the cosmos, and 11 of them involve the moon. Again, like I said yesterday, this week is about refining our emotions. Things need to get a little bit cray-cray before we build toward the equinox. And this is going to give us a lot of opportunity to see really what's going on in our inner realms. So also notable mention, today is Mars's last day in Virgo. And as we've been exploring, the very last day of a planet standing in a particular energy before transiting into the next is usually a pressure point. It's usually very intense. It feels very overwhelming because we got to wrap this lesson up. We have things to do. And so just be cautiously aware that Mars, who rules over our physical energy, who's very aggressive, who's very passionate and intense, in Virgo is a lot of earth energy. It would be well recommended to throw yourself into some earthly projects here today to keep the physical body moving, that energy flowing, because if not, you're going to find that you're a nervous wreck. You're filled with anxiety, likely having bursts and bouts of anger and rage. And you know what? Ain't nobody got time for that. We got to keep these vibrations high. So right out of the gate, we have the moon in Sag trining, which is a beautiful energy, with Chiron. So Chiron is retrograde in Aries, trying to illuminate for us some wounds, especially where our ego is concerned, our identity is concerned. The moon in Sag, of course, just wants us to see the bigger picture, wants us to renew our faith within ourselves, wants to give us a burst of confidence in order to be a little bit more aware of the truth that we have been hiding from. Again, when it comes to the way that we look at ourselves, the way we perceive ourselves, many of us create an illusion about who it is that we actually are, who it is that we think we want to be. There's a lot of disillusion that is definitely rooted in Neptune's energy. But at this particular point, we're trying to expose the truth. And we do so by being triggered. And that's what Chiron is all about. He wants to trigger us in a way, whether it's from an external trigger, a person, a comment, a situation, or whether we're just not feeling ourselves. We dive into the inner workings of our mind and our heart space. Either way, we have to address what it is that we're feeling insecure about, what it is that we're not feeling confident about, what it is that we're just struggling with, especially with the way that we look, because visually, we're not okay with the way that we look right now. Our light body, our energetic body is so much more real to some of us than our physical body is, and we don't identify. There's a disassociation going on with our image, and this is likely going to trigger that in order for us to see where it is we need to do a little bit more work on our self-esteem, on our confidence, and really build our worth and value within ourselves back up again. The moon is going to go ahead and bump into Jupiter. Now, Jupiter rules over Sagittarius energy, so you best believe this is going to be a hype conversation. Jupiter is retrograde in Aquarius, and Jupiter wants to push us outside of our comfort zones, outside of our boundaries. He wants us to grow. He wants us to expand. He wants us to push the boundaries of what we believe is possible. And the moon in Sag is all about the big, great, grand vision. the new adventure we're going into, the new energy we have to adopt in order to actually align with the paths that are unfolding for us. Now, this is going to be a good energy because many of us have been really kind of attached to old habits, old ways of thinking, old relationships, negative narratives. This is the hype girl extreme, okay? This is the cheerleader energy. This is bumping us up. This is making us feel ourselves, especially after the earlier energy of being illuminated to Chiron's wounds and our ego and our image, where, we're questioning some things and we're kind of, realizing where it is that maybe we have to be a little bit more honest with how it is that we're thinking and feeling about ourselves. This is going to pump us up. And this is a great opportunity to do so because the moon is going to bump into Uranus, the great awakener. He's going to shake things up. He's going to shift our perspective. He's going to bust our old paradigm, our old belief system about ourselves absolutely into smithereens in order for us to gain a bigger, brighter vision. This is where we kind of act as the observer. We detach from our physical form. We see ourselves from a different set of eyes, a different light. And you know what? We are freaking beautiful. This is a time where I'd like to recommend that you start visualizing yourself, the details of your story, your truth, as if a friend was explaining to you your whole life, your achievements, your vulnerabilities, your weaknesses, your failures. Why? Because we see the beauty in other people's stories and truths, and we tend to not see the same beauty and truth in our own. We underestimate ourselves. We do not think that we are a big deal. We do not celebrate the highs. We do not see the silver lining in the lows. This is going to be a beautiful opportunity for us to step outside of ourselves and really start clapping for ourselves the way we should have been clapping all along. This is going to change the script, flip the role, change our perspective, change our thinking, and really kind of shake us up to a brand new way of actually seeing ourselves. This is going to be a great energy to kind of build off of because the moon is going to sextile Mercury. Mercury, of course, rules over the mental plane, rules over our throat chakra, rules over communication. Mercury is in Libra trying to balance the scales between our heart and our head, to speak our truth, to resolve some of the relationship issues, to compromise and cooperate in order to get back on the same page. But here's the thing, Mercury rules the lower intellect. Uranus rules over the higher intellect. So whatever just perspective shift we just had, now we're bringing it into manifestation. We are either speaking it, we are either, narratively scripting it in our head, or we're just recognizing that the divide between our heart and our head isn't as big as we thought it once was. The gap between the old and the new is not as great as we thought it once was. This is very inspiring for us. This is another validation that we need to speak up and speak out, telling our stories, telling our truth, recognizing that we speak into existence the way that we are thinking about ourselves. This is time to empower ourselves to a brand new level of worth, frequency, and vibration. The moon is going to go ahead after that very triumphant pep talk and bump into Venus. And Venus, of course, is in Scorpio waters, very intense, very probing, very much kind of looking to the depths of the darkness of the shadow part of ourselves in order for us to see where it is that we need to illuminate some situations, where it is that we need to really take a good look, analyze the shadow parts to death, recognize where it is that we can turn that pain into power, where it is that we can turn that darkness into light. And right now, we have an opportunity to do that, but it isn't going to feel so good. The moon, making this aspect with Venus, is emotionally illuminating obsessiveness, especially in our mental plane, negativity, especially when we look at ourselves in relation to the people that we find to be of value. It is illuminating lies and deception. Again, the lies that we tell ourselves and the falsehood that we build around other people. Many of us have gotten into relationships projecting our wants, needs, and desires on our partners, and then get very disappointed that they're not living up to what it is that we thought they were going to be for us or be to us. And you know what? Whose fault is that? It's not our partner's fault. They didn't create some fantasy land in our brains. They didn't, build up a construct of a person that didn't even exist. They're just showing up as their real self. And here we are getting disappointed because they're not living up to this false identity that we have dreamed up for them. So this, like I said, we're going into a very interesting time, especially with Mars moving into Libra, while Venus is in Scorpio, the mutual receptional energy between the two. Things are going to get heated up in all the right ways, but we do have to go dark before we can transcend into light. The moon bumps into Uranus after this little blip, after this little realization, and this is going to change the game once again. This is a positive energy, so it is going to kind of connect the dots for us, recognize within ourselves that, hey, maybe we did set ourselves up for disappointment. Maybe we have been kind of lying to ourselves just a little bit. This is going to illuminate for us where in our mental plane, where in our vision and our perspective, that maybe we have to cut the head off of some snakes that we have created ourselves in order to actually accept the truth for what it is and not for what it is we want it to be. And just in this moment, the moon in Sag is going to square the sun in Virgo, creating our first quarter moon. The first quarter moon is always a crisis point. It's always an awareness point. We have a beautiful aha moment that came out of some pain, intensity, and struggle. And of course, when we illuminate, accept the role and responsibility that we've played in this situation, then we can free ourselves. Then we can realize where it is that we have created a falsehood. We have to come back down to earth. We have to focus in on what is true and not what it is we want it to be. Does it feel good? No. Is it going to feel good? Probably not. Is it going to take some time to heal? Yep. Are we going to heal it? You bet your ass we are. The moon is going to square Neptune right after that. And Neptune energy is the illusion. It is the lie. It's the betrayal. It's the deception. It is the fantasy that we have created around ourselves, our image, our thoughts, our feelings, the stories that we elaborate on. When we look back on our memories, it's not 100% accurate. Our brains do this funky thing of actually tweaking the actual reality of how things went down to write a script that supports us staying in victimhood, that supports us in staying in the negative frequency vibrations to allow the pain cycle to continue. And so what is interesting, there's actually a study on this. If you're interested in it, I'm all about psychology, so I just love reading, these types of studies, but they have literally proven that the neuroplasticity in our brains that hold the cellular memories and the fragmented memories of our past pain and our past trauma get rewritten every single time we go back and access that train of thought, that emotion, that scenario, that situation. And so, just think about the fact that even though you're 100% dead set on, hey, this is the truth, your brain has literally made a fraction of that up, filling in the gaps to support a story that will keep you in the pain and trauma loop. That's why it's so important to be consciously aware of your thoughts and realize that you can rewrite your brain. Neuroplasticity is an amazing thing. That's where subliminal messaging comes in. That's why we have to be very careful about the music we listen to, about how we speak to ourselves, about the repetitive audio frequency vibrations that we allow into our brain, because it's rewriting a script. It's building a story that might not be authentic to the actual happenings of what took place in our reality. So the moon squaring Neptune is definitely going to highlight this. We just had the first quarter moon bring up and illuminate where it is that the truth may not be the truth that is the actual truth. Where it is that maybe we have found comfort in the lies, in the delusion, in the fantasy. And where it is that because the sun is in Virgo, we need to bring that shit back down to earth and really examine what is true. Not what we want to be true, what is true. And we're going to get a huge validation point here because the moon is going to go ahead and bump into Saturn, the Lord of Karma himself. And what does he want us to do? He wants to slap us with a reality check. I say it like that because it's not going to feel good. I say that because I want to lighten the mood to what is going to be a very intense energy here. The moon bumping into Saturn is going to literally bitch slap us with the reality, with the truth that we have been running from, trying to escape from, trying to rewrite, trying to basically create an illusion around. Is it going to feel good? Absolutely not. Is this going to push our thinking? Absolutely it is. Is it going to trigger some emotions? Yes, you bet your ass it will. And are we going to get over it? You best believe we are. The moon goes ahead and sextiles Jupiter. Again, Jupiter rules over the Sagittarian moon. This is the hype girl. This is the pep talk. Just when we got bitch slapped with the truth, we are going to find the silver linings in the situation. We are going to push ourselves outside of that illusion and get in alignment with the path forward. We are going to see where it is that we can grow past that, where it is that we can flip that script, where it is that we can leave that illusion behind and feel good about standing in the power of our truth. It is going to change our beliefs about ourselves and about how it is that we feel about certain people in our lives, about the path forward. But you know what? We got to get real. We got to get a grip. We got to come back down to earth. And you know what? We're going to be hyped up to do so after Jupiter infuses us with all of this positive, optimistic, cheerleader type vibe. We're going to be okay. And just to validate that we're going to be okay, the moon goes ahead and bumps into Pluto. Pluto, of course, the god of the underworld, wants us to get a grip, wants us to transform mind, body, and soul. Definitely got one foot in the other worldly realms in order to provide us with a soul healing, with a psychic cleansing, with an emotional attunement based off of the reality check we just got, where we can step away from that false set of illusions and where we can stand very firmly in knowing that, you know what, that's going to build us up. We're going to use that as fuel to the fire. We are going to use that to motivate us to be better, to be bigger, to be brighter, to stand in our truth, to be empowered by it, to think about the possibilities, to think about the opportunities that now await us now that we shed our skin from the old illusions and projections that we damn well created.